99% of guys look like absolute shit, so in this video I'm going to cover 5 specific real world factors that will improve and how they change when you go from skinny to aesthetic, so you can actually use this as motivation and decide to get in shape, get aesthetic and change your life forever, because it's exactly what happened for me. The first thing we're going to be delving into is confidence. When you are skinny, when you do not have a good physique, you can't even take your shirt off in public places or be seen in an exposed position. And this was exactly like me. I remember going to school and swimming carnival. I could never take my shirt off. I would be too embarrassed. I would hide in the locker rooms. I would walk around with a rashi covering my rib because I was too scared, because I was so skinny. And this just caused a whole cascade of downside, repercussions in my life relating to confidence, not being able to talk to girls, not being able to even socialize, and just having a terrible self-image, right? And when you are skinny and you have low confidence like this, you're going to try and rely on acting confident and coping a lot. And this is what you see on the internet, guys that say that physique, these idiots that say that physique and being in shape doesn't matter and you just have to be confident. That's what they say, and it's honestly bullshit, because if you've tried this yourself, you know that you can fake it, but at the base of everything, at the root of everything, you know yourself that you're just lying to yourself and you feel like shit, and there's no truly tested thing that you've achieved to show that you can be confident. So it just literally doesn't work. But when you become aesthetic, you literally want to be sexually objectified. You go from not wanting to be seen at all to wanting to be seen in any exposed position, pause, and you want to show off your progress and actually express status. You see, because having a physique is so rare, because being aesthetic is so fucking rare and nobody does it nowadays, and that's why a lot of jack guys on the internet, they will be taking their shirt off in public, in the supermarkets, in the shops, not caring what anyone says, and people will get salty because, yes, it's probably not a normal social convention, but also because they're slightly jealous because they don't have the confidence to do so themselves, because again, everyone looks like shit. That's why a top 1% basically means you can do whatever in terms of confidence, right? And you're going to assume little rejection socially because you have a rare asset that you have with you 24/7, 365. Building a physique, guys, is the only thing that you can take everywhere with you. It's the only thing. It doesn't matter about materialism. Having an aesthetic physique, being lean, jacked, and attractive is literally the only thing you can wear everywhere. And honestly, you just look better than most people, right? Next, we're going to go into discipline, okay? When you don't have a good physique, when you look like shit, when you're skinny and weak, you likely have no other challenging endeavors, so your discipline is low. And this was exactly like me. The hardest thing I was doing was getting on Call of Duty and playing video games after school every single day, 8 to 10 hours a day, completely addicted. And you're probably lost, and especially if you're young, like I said, your pursuits seem to be transient and not measurable. So if you're playing video games, if you're doing things like watching porn and falling into bad habits, none of this stuff is actually beneficial for you. None of this stuff carries long-term benefits. So you're going to be feeling empty, and you're not going to have this true pursuit, this true fire under your ass to go and achieve stuff. And it really shows. You may think that building a physique is just about an aesthetic thing, it's just about looking good, but realistically it isn't, because when you build a physique, you have to put in so many different hard yards, and it forces your brain to understand what long-term dopamine is and what delayed gratification is, and you now understand that you have to work something, and that's why you will not resort to things like short-term dopamine as much anymore, because you understand that it's not really worth it and you can be building much greater things. When you become aesthetic, you are now having the best and most obvious signal of discipline, especially if you build a female gaze physique, because there are guys out there who build a physique, who go to the gym and lift weights, and this is all very good, but they build the wrong type of physique. They build a physique that doesn't market themselves as attractive and disciplined. They have this like fat truck driver physique, they look like a fridge, and it doesn't look that impressive. But if you build a female gaze physique, a physique that has markers of attractiveness that have been proven biologically, you will instantly not only gain respect from guys, but attraction from women. And overall, the population will just see you as disciplined. You're never going to look at the lean guy who has nice bicep veins and fucking big arms as undisciplined. But the fat dad who goes to the gym twice a week and just lifts weights randomly, you're not going to really see that as discipline, right? If you build this physique, you'll actually be disciplined in all areas of life as well, because it is actually hard to build an attractive physique. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dieting, a lot of effort outside the gym, and just mentally to push yourself to be disciplined to do this, right? And that's why in most cases, and for me specifically, gym is the beginning of living a disciplined life. For most guys who want to level up, who are sick of how they are, and they want to change their life forever, they get in the gym and they do stuff in the gym, and it translates to every other aspect of their life. They get more attractive, they get more disciplined, they get more confident, everything changes. And it's for this reason that I decided to make my community, which you can check out in the link below. It's free right now, so join up and I'll teach you how to build the proper physique as well, and go through the challenges that I had to go through and how you can speedrun them to absolutely change your life forever. So check that out. But we're moving on to your self-perception. When you are skinny and when you have a shit physique, you automatically assume a lower social position and you don't take lead. I remember this in school. When I was a skinny guy, I used to automatically put myself to the back of the pack and think of myself as less. Didn't have the self-confidence, and I didn't think I was capable of that many things, sporting-wise or social-wise, right? There's a reason why it's always the athletic guys. It's always the guys who have the six-pack, the resting six-pack in high school, in the locker rooms, that are for some reason more confident, and they often assume the leadership position. They're the team leaders, and even the teachers pick them as team leaders, right? It's because being in shape literally determines almost every positive outcome in your life, right? And if you are skinny and if you don't have a good physique, you likely hate yourself because of your physical appearance and the lack of positive occurrences in the real world, because it's simply just a cascading effect. It's simply just an act of, action and reaction. If you look like shit, you're going to get treated like shit. And unfortunately, this is going to make you have a lower standard of self. And for most guys, unfortunately, they never realize that they can change and they can fix this. And if they do, then they're just too lazy to commit to it over long term, right? And it's the guys that quit, which will have this constant mindset of wondering, why doesn't anyone find me attractive? Well, I hate to break it to you, but they don't find you attractive because you look like a fucking sack of potatoes, or you look like a Minecraft skeleton. So I was wondering this same thing myself, but it's only when you get into shape you realize that, oh, no wonder, no wonder I was an ugly cunt. Right? And that's why when you're aesthetic, you do truly get aware of the black pill and the importance of physical attractiveness. Like I said, you go from wondering why nobody likes you, why you don't have the crush, why you're not getting the girls in high school, and why nobody respects you, to realizing everything and realizing the reason was all because of physical attractiveness. And the number one way to boost this is through building an aesthetic physique, right? And by the same token, if you build an aesthetic physique, once you build the aesthetic physique, this is exactly the case for every single guy. You're going to nod your head right now if you've done it yourself. You love and hate yourself simultaneously. You're the type of motherfucker to walk past every single mirror, flex his biceps and stare, but then also you hate yourself simultaneously. That's because of body dysmorphia. When you start out, when you get more advanced, when you get aesthetic, body dysmorphia will literally destroy your life. You will hate yourself, but you will also understand that you put in a lot of work and you'll love yourself as well. And honestly, in this position, when you're aesthetic, when you build a good physique, your ego gets massive and you do believe you're better than other people. And the brutal reality of this is, well, you probably are, because you've put in the discipline and you now have the confidence. You've done what most people, what 99.9% of the population of men can't do, which is simply looking after their body, carving it like a Greek sculpture, like we're actually meant to do in the first place, and not look like shit, not be skinny and not be fat. Next, we're going on to social feedback. When you're skinny, when you're weak, when you don't have a good physique, when you don't have any physical dominance, you will find that people walk through and they don't even seem to acknowledge your presence. I remember people used to look at me with pity, and people would look down on me without even knowing me, and that was because I just looked small. I just looked like a little boy, okay? And even if you are a confident guy, even if you're trying to delude yourself into being confident like people say to do, you will still fall to the level of your physical appearance because you have no backing. The number one way to back yourself is by being bigger and looking good. If you don't do that, how the fuck can you manifest any confidence, right? That is the single greatest indicator of success, of confidence, of being able to get positive social feedback. It is looking good. Okay, but once you are aesthetic, walking into a room feels like you have an energy. It feels like you have this weird aura due to your confidence and your presence. And it honestly compounds, right? When I started building a physique, I noticed that I was more confident walking into rooms, and therefore I became more loud, I became more social, I became more of a leader. And honestly, that is why it just helps so much to build a beneficial aesthetic physique. And you probably have seen people as well. When someone with a great physique, when a big, powerful, masculine looking dude walks into the room, everyone's energy kind of changes and they kind of look towards that guy, and you catch eyes when you are aesthetic. It is just simple biology. It's just a simple way of the universe, and it's by this token that people are more likely to move out of the way for you. They're more likely to service you, they're more likely to compliment you, and they just perceive you as more correct and in charge and like a good person. And this is just a key indicator of what we like to call the halo effect, which shows that attractive people get better outcomes in society. It's true, you need to do this to actually benefit in the real world, okay? And in a world of spaghetti physiques, you will get large amounts of choosing signals and strange looks of envy and attraction, right? Because it's so rare to have an aesthetic physique, one that's lean, attractive, and has a good frame, you'll be getting choosing signals left, right, and center. I can walk down the shops and I'm not even the biggest guy. I'm not even the most jacked. Wear a compression shirt, wear a decent fitting top, and literally people are looking at me left, right, and center like I'm some fucking superhero. And that's because it's so rare to have a good physique nowadays that once you do, you will gain 1,000 times the benefits you think you will. Okay, and finally, that leads on to opportunities, right? When you are skinny, when you're weak, when you have no physique, the dating pool is absolutely brutal. Okay, rejection is very common because you're simply like everyone else who is out of shape and not physically attractive, right? Unless you are a guy who has incredible facial genetics, you're born like a fucking Chad, like some dudes are, then you're gonna have a tough time, okay? Because if you look like everyone else, if you have no sexual market value, sexual attractiveness differentiation compared to everyone else, well, they're only going based on your face. And if you don't have the greatest face, which, like me, you weren't born a Chad, which many guys aren't, then you're not even going to get a chance. You're not even going to be different. You're not even going to be seen in most cases. And this is the reality of most guys who don't have a good physique on Tinder, on dating apps. Every single opportunity, it's going to be limited. It's just brutal. It's just the truth. Okay, and smaller, less masculine looking guys will just have less opportunities and global respect in general. Okay, and it's just like the height argument. Having a shit physique just makes you look shit and makes you look less worth of anything, really. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I didn't make this rule, but if you have any self-respect for yourself and you have a good physique, you'll be nodding as well, looking at other people who don't have a good physique and just seeing them as lesser. It's just the brutal truth of the world, okay? But once you are aesthetic, a lot of guys with subpar faces can use a physique to absolutely carry. And I'm an exact example of this. Your physique will not only benefit your face through hormonal benefits and masculinization, but a lot of guys that have shit faces are able to get great benefits, great results on dating apps in real world social situations, everything, right? Because nobody's ever going to look at someone with a good physique and think down of them, okay? They're either going to be jealous or they're going to ask for advice, or they're just going to be in true awe and admiration of the hard work that you've put in, especially if they've tried before, okay? And higher SMV, sexual market value, means more front-facing jobs that need to have staff who are visible. So if you're a good-looking dude, if you have a good physique, you're probably going to get put in better job positions, like in society more. It's just how it works, okay? And you're just simply going to have a better time with women and with their shit tests because they're not willing to give up an attractive guy, a guy who has a great body, as much and as quickly as they are willing to give up a guy who has an average physique that doesn't have any standout features about them, right? So that is how it works. That is the reality of the world. How having a good aesthetic physique will change opportunities, social feedback, self-perception, discipline, and confidence for you in the real world, right? And again, like I said, if you want to know how to actually boost your attractiveness, build the aesthetic physique, and go from nothing to something just like I did, as you can see right here, then you can check the community in the link in the description, subscribe to the channel. Remember that progress is purpose, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.